lifetime native of Bardstown and the retired VP of production at Heaven Hill Distilleries, where he worked for 41 years. He has been a member of both the KDA and Kentucky Bourbon Festival Board of Directors and was inducted into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame in 2011. I'm going to bring up David Hobbs to present the Parker Beam Lifetime Achievement Award.
Before I start, Mr. Henderson brought up, and I didn't quite understand his comment about all the stories in bourbon being true. But I remember when I first started at Heaven Hill, and we had about an 85-year-old tour guide. And he really worked at night coming up with new stories for the next tours the next day. One of the stories was something about, I believe it might have been William Heaven Hill was born under a waterfall behind the distillery during an Indian attack. So, could be true, I don't know, I wasn't there. But I think what makes it much more fun in the industry is lying is not very good. Bull is fine. And I will try to be straight on these stories, but I did not get a fact checker on this. So, my story today is to tell the adventures of Evan Kulsveen. Evan was born in Norway. At the age of 14, he lied Ami Tolson about his age and joined the Merchant Marines. For a year, he traveled around the world and saw the United States on both coasts a couple of times, and he knew he loved the United States. At age 15, he was in Germany, and he called his mother and said, "I'm moving to the United States." And his mother said, "No, you're not moving to the United States, you're 15 years old. And he said, "No, I'm doing it." So at some point she accepted he's gonna do it. So she washed all his clothes, he went home, got them, packed them up, flew to New York City, got on a Greyhound bus, if you're old enough to know what a Greyhound bus is, and headed for Colorado. In Colorado, he had family members in a wholesale wine and liquor business. Well, he had no idea that going from New York to Colorado wasn't like going from England to France. You know, it's a long way. He said, "I thought I'd never get there," but he got there. When he was in Colorado, he worked in several jobs. He was a bartender, he worked in a hotel restaurant in the hotel industry, and learned valuable lessons about spirits and things in the industry. He also attended college in Colorado, and he was on the ski team. Working at one of the companies, he would go to work and they would have a meeting every day. And he said, "This is terrible." He said, "All we do is talk about what Jim Beam did yesterday, or this distillery did, or that distillery." Evan said, "I do not want to know what they are doing. I want to know what we're doing, and I want to make sure that it happens." He also joined a company, and that company wanted to create ceramic bottles or decanters for the liquor industry. So they decided to open a plant in Bardstown, Kentucky, which was, of course, the location you want to be if you're going to sell ceramic bottles to the industry. While he was here, he met J.D. Willett, and J.D. is Martha Willett's brother. So at some point he met Martha. Martha's first comment about Evan was, "He's arrogant, he's blank, blank, blank," and a few other comments, and so she wanted nothing to do with Evan. But in 5 months, they were in love and they got married. In the next 10 years, they had 2 children, Britt and Drew. In 1984, after doing several jobs together and working different places, the Willett Distillery, the family distillery of Martha's family, came up for sale. It had been auctioned off earlier, a few years before, and it had been converted to a fuel alcohol plant. But that plant had gone out of business, so Martha and Evan bought the plant. Slowly, Evan converted the distillery back to a bourbon distillery. Bill Samuels, once I heard him say he wanted his epitaph on his tombstone to read, "Daddy, I didn't screw it up." And so Martha and Evan can say to Mr. Willett, "Daddy, we've screwed it back together." So. They started introducing old brands that the company had owned before, like Old Bardstown, started selling those in the United States, started developing other new brands, and started building the business up where they could have some cash flow to do more things. They also developed super premium brands to be sold in Japan and other international locations. In 2003, Drew, who had been going to college and had talked about being a doctor, decided not to do that and to stick with business, and came back and joined the company. In 2005, Drew is now the master distiller. In 2005, Britt, who had considered law school, decided to come back and join the family business, and she's now the president of the company. So, Janelle, Drew's wife, is now the manager of the visitor center and visitor services. They created the Willett Family Estate brand, and that is one of the most highly sought of super premium bourbons in the nation. Evan, going back to his story of not liking meetings and hearing about what other people are doing, said his motto is, "We want to lead, not follow." And that's the way he has led the business, such as when he put the pot still in the distillery, which helped to improve the bourbon. This is a Lifetime Achievement Award he is going to receive today. But Evan is not done. He still has many more projects on the drawing board. He's very enthusiastic about doing things like building bed and breakfast, cabins. They just opened a restaurant on the property, and I've been told that the food is great and that we should all try it, and I intend to do that. The family legacy. If you own or run a family business, the most valuable contribution you can do is to train the next generation to be able to run the business as well or better than you have done in the past. So right now I would like for Martha, Britt, Drew, Janelle, and the grandkids, are they here? Okay, just stand up. I visit the Willett Distillery occasionally, and because I'm retired and I've got time to do whatever. And every time I go, I see something new. And I see the enthusiasm. I see that they're wanting to improve, to do more, to do better, and keep on going. So I would like to introduce the 2019 Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, Evan Kulsveen. My friend.
Thank you, Dave. Where did you get all those stories about me?
Not true.
Yeah. Anyway, we can get together sometime and I'll tell you the real stories. But I guess one of the things that for those of us who have been in this business for 40 or 50 years, which many of those people are here, how many of us would have thought, 30 years ago that this business would be where it is today with the tourism aspect of it, where all the distilleries are in the visitor business and getting tremendous, exposure on their products from people visiting from all over the world. And I think that's something that probably 30 years ago, very few people foresaw. And it's become a big part of everybody's business, and it certainly is a big part of our business, and we, try to nourish it and make it bigger every day, because it's important business, especially if you're trying to get, brand recognition and people to enjoy your products. And I also have to thank my wife and family for having put up with it for all these years. There's been lots of times when, I don't usually come home at 5 o'clock. So when you're in a small business, everybody that's ever been there knows that it takes a lot of hours of work and dedication, and it just never ends. It just continues. There's no end game to it. But so we have a lot of work to do yet. We've done a lot of things. Rebuilt the distillery from the grounds up, and we have lots and lots more things that need to be done, but we're working on it. So hopefully, maybe in my lifetime, we'll see a lot more progress. But like I said, I wanted to thank my wife, Martha, and my son and daughter, Brett and Drew, who are now very much involved in running the business on a daily basis. And I guess I should also give thanks to another person that's here today, who's kept me in good spirits for the last couple of years. And I don't mean drinking spirits, but he's Dr. Hildebrand from UK Medical Center in Lexington, who's brought me back to life a couple of times in the last couple of years. Thank you very much, Dr. Hildebrand. You're the best. So anyway, I think everybody else has pretty much said everything there is to say, so I'll leave it at that. And I know everybody wants to move on and do different things. And so I'll say thank you very much again. I really appreciate it. And I also wanted to remember to thank the KDA and all of its members that voted for me for this award. Thank you very much.